Hello and welcome to the Albert Lea Public Library's February Adult Take Minecraft Kit tutorial. In February, you are going to be making blackout poetry. So in your bag, you are going to get an instruction sheet, some book pages, and a Sharpie. And if you've never done blackout poetry before or heard of it, it is where you create a poem using the text on the sheet that you have, and rather than constructing a poem, you're kind of deconstructing the text to pick out words that you want to use in a poem. So I'm going to give you a kind of a suggestion of how you might go about blackout poetry, but different people might use different methods. So one thing that is really helpful is if you read through the page of text and take a pen or a pencil preferred, but you can use a pen, the marker will go over it. And just kind of underline the words that you might want to use. And these are words that stand out to you. So not basic, you, those kinds of words. You want words that you might be able to build a poem around. So words on a theme. For instance, one of these pages had kind of a kitchen theme. So I highlighted all the words that were related to cooking and the kitchen. So once you've highlighted the words, such as this, you're going to want to write them down on a piece of paper in big letters. So I'm going to do return, camp, mountains, darkness. So as you can see, those are kind of similar words that could go together for a poem. And so once you have theme words, you want to kind of see how you might be able to put those together with common words. So for instance, using the, you, I, see if you can kind of start creating the basics of your poem. So for instance, I am going to do, like, I return to camp, the mountains, against the darkness. And so I just kind of jotted down a general idea of what I was thinking. And then I need to go back to my text and see if I can find those connecting words in the text in the places that I need them to form a poem. Now, you're not always going to find them, and so one of the keys to blackout poetry is to being flexible and adapting your poem as you go along to what words you have. So I return, so I'm going to underline I return, and then I have to camp, the mountains. Let's see if I can find against before darkness. That's going to be a hard one. So I did not find against in my text before darkness. So I'm going to change it up and kind of say, oh, the mountains in darkness. Okay, I could do that. And then I'm going to go through the rest of the bottom part of the text and see if there's words that stand out to me that I can use. So I've underlined the words that I want to use. And so I'm just going to read through them and make sure that that's the poem that I want before I take my Sharpie and black out the other words. So my poem reads, I return to camp, the mountains in pure darkness. I rest, certain the moment was wonder. I'm happy with that poem. If I wasn't happy, I would go back and see if I could find other words that might make more sense or different connecting words, but I like how it is. So then I'm going to take my Sharpie and put boxes around the words that I have underlined, and that signals that those are the words in my poem that I do not want to black out. I have all the words in my poem in squares, or you can use circles. And then all you're going to do is just black out the text with a Sharpie. And you can do this any way. You can either cross off the words, you can kind of scribble. If you are creative, you can draw a picture that goes with the poem. So for instance, if I wanted to, I could try to draw maybe some mountains and see if I can figure out a way to just, you know, have mountains in there. And once I get this colored in, I'll show you kind of what I did. And so then, for instance, I just drew some abstract mountains here, and so you know that that's not in your poem because you can't read any of the words, but it's just an illustration. But if you don't, you know, that's optional if you're artistic and want to draw a theme. So then you're just going to make sure you black out all the words that are not in your poem. And when you're done, you will have something like this that has a complete poem, and then everything else is blacked out. You have a variety of book pages so that you can either do more than one poem, or you may have a book page or two that you don't like, and you're having trouble forming a poem from the text, and that's totally fine. Just move on to the next book page and see if you can make a poem. So it's just a kind of a fun activity that stretches your creativity and your imagination when it comes to creating a poem from something that is already on the page rather than coming up with it yourself. So I hope you have fun with Blackout Poetry, and we'll have another craft kit in March with a totally different activity for you.